Hello and welcome. My name is Grace. This is my channel, and I'm just going to get into it. I wanted to hop on today to, or rather this evening. It's evening where I am to, to pick up where I left off, like my last video where I had all these like plans of what I was going to do. When I recorded the last video, I was feeling the pull because I was redoing my bookshelves, my bookcases, and I, came across The Artist's Way, and I was saying, I was feeling the pull to do that again. Well, it was quite educational for me. So I want to explore a little bit I want to talk a little bit about my experience with journaling, because I don't think my experience is unique. As much as there's many people out there who get a lot out of journaling, I don't think journaling means. Here's what I've come to understand for myself. Journaling does not mean the same thing for everybody. And journaling is not for everybody. So I'm going to start with, I had notes. They're like, scribbles. But so I'm going to recap a little bit, right? So I was like feeling the whole, I'm going to do The Artist's Way again. I did it in the early to mid 90s. And it was very beneficial to me. I feel that what I learned by doing that 12-week program with that book has carried on in my life in some way, shape, or form. Sorry, almost sneezed. I did not, but I almost did. In some way, shape, or form. I think it's the light in my eyes, because that's a natural human reflex. You shine a bright light in someone's eyes and they sneeze. Anyway, back to what I was saying. You know what, guys? I tried. I couldn't even read the book. So I couldn't even do the reading. I couldn't do the first reading of The Artist's Way. This is not a reflection on the book, nor is it anyone else's experience. I'm just sharing with you my experience, and maybe it'll be helpful for you. Maybe you'll share some of your wisdom with me in the comments section, which I really appreciate. But I don't know if it's a broader condition that I'm having difficulty immersing myself in reading books. Like I can have, and I think that's why I decided that I was going to relax this year and say, okay, well, you know what? Instead of trying to force myself to stick to one book and read it through, I was going to explore just being a little more relaxed, and it's like, okay, read a little bit of fiction, put it down, read a little bit of nonfiction, put it down, really trying to get into fiction. I haven't been able to do that yet, but let's rewind. Let me rewind and go back to journaling. So I was unable to concentrate, or I just couldn't get into reading that first chapter of The Artist's Way. So obviously, but I kind of remembered the exercises, so I started doing the morning pages, except for me, they were evening pages because morning doesn't work for me. Evening works for me. So that's one thing already I want to share, is that if you are wanting to attempt The Artist's Way and morning does not work for you to empty your brain because you just don't have time, do it in the evening. So I did that, and I did a week. I think I did a week. Maybe I did 2 weeks, where in the evening, pardon me, I have to silence my phone. Where in the Okay, I'm gonna have to pause and come back. Well, here I am, my back, and I'm back. Um, you don't know this because I just restarted the recording where I left off, but like papers went flying, everything went flying. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so I was doing them in the evening, and you know what? It was very cathartic, and I was just doing honestly my own thing, like just from memory, doing my own thing. What um, what I have been doing for years and years and years is that when I have a lot up here, just to get it out and just boom onto the pages, and I could tear them up after. I don't care, which is why I use a spiral notebook, a spiral bound notebook, because I could just rip it out and burn it, roll it up and smoke it, whatever, right? You know what I mean. I don't want to keep that stuff. That's the thing, right? I'm I'm not going to say I'm never going to be, but I'm not one of those people who will journal and keep it. I don't think I ever was. Like when I'm thinking back, it's like I have I have journals that I use to more of a commonplace book situation. If you don't know what a commonplace book is, it's basically a diary where you keep information that you want to remember. It's like a second brain. So, for instance, I have my let me, my God, I have my this is my planner that I'm using this year, and I have a calendar at the front, and the other signatures are set up like basically for commonplace book content, which is I have one for thoughts and ideas. I have a signature for quotes, poetry, and then I have another one for um, um, creative things I want to remember. So, for instance, the last signature, what I have in there is a list of the um, the music that I like to listen to that puts me in different levels of awareness. For example, like what I like to listen to, if I listen to a piece of music, for instance, and like lately it's been classical music a lot. I'm finding classical music is a perfect escape. It allows me to really, because there's no lyrics, right? Um, I can just lose myself in the music, and you can enter a nice little light trance state, listening to classical music that speaks to your soul, and so that's what I have in the that third signature, right? So I've been doing more of that, and I enjoy that. I enjoy recording quotes that I read somewhere, or something I read in a book that I want to remember, I want to refer back to. Um, but journaling, like those, like for the artist's way, where you do a brain dump, that works for me too, but I don't want to keep that. So what I've been doing instead of, I admit, the book is back on the shelf, but I'm still using the process that and that's it. If I need to process something, if I need to get something that's like if I need to get the noise in my head to stop, then I'll dump it all into that spiral bound notebook, and every now and then I rip out the pages and dispose, shred, whatever. I don't need to keep that. I don't need to keep that. The whole point was for me to put it in there to get it out of here, right? So I'm finding that still beneficial. But see, I've been doing that probably for 30 something years. So, and I don't do it every day. And here's another thing about journaling. I can't, it's not that I can't commit, because maybe it is a little bit of also committing, right? But I feel like I don't, it doesn't work for me to have a routine where I journal every day. It's like, like I don't feel that pull. I know people who freaking love it. You know what I mean? And but that doesn't work. But I don't. I don't. So over a year ago, I did an exercise where I used the same tarot deck every day. I did a daily draw, and to journal about it, to get to know this deck. And it was my Mythologia Fanica. I wanted to spend a whole month with that deck. Oh my gosh! As much as I love, it's one of my top five tarot decks. As much as I love reading with that deck, drawing a card, reading the guidebook, oh my God, I began to be annoyed with having to, because I promised myself I was going to do the whole journaling thing, right? First, I started to become annoyed with it. Like, what am I journaling? What I read in the book? How I feel about it? For me, it's not that immediate. When I draw a card, I need to sit with it. I need to experience it, because that's how I relate to tarot. The experiential, the seeing it unfold in my environment, and in my in my life, in my environment, and all that. That's how that's what I get the most out of it. So it started by me being a little annoyed with my journaling it, and I had committed it to a book, a permanent book. And I also struggle a bit with being a completionist. It's like when I start something, I have to finish it. I'm pretty sure that's my Virgo rising. When I start something, I have to finish it. So I did 30 days. It was the month of September. I did 30 days. Every day I drew a card. But here's what started to happen. Because I hated the journaling, and because I started to dread it, I started to forget to pull the card each day. Now, if I had omitted the whole journaling part, I would have pulled a card every day, and I would have enjoyed the experience and enjoyed, I would have enjoyed my experience of experiencing the energy of that card, and pondering that, the whatever philosophical meaning I got from it, whatever lesson was in it, whatever archetypes were involved, the allegory, like the story, and how I can make connections to my life and my environment, all without writing this in a freaking journal. Because I gotta tell you, when it came to journaling, it was like being forced to do homework for a class I wish I dropped. Oh my God. I don't know any other way to describe it. Which is interesting, because I enjoy writing. Or rather, I enjoy thinking about what I'm writing. I enjoy experiencing more than I enjoy journaling. So it's very strange. It's very strange. But so I knew that about myself, and still I was like all gung-ho I was going to do the artist's way. And it's like, no, I didn't. What I am still doing though is because with the recent loss of my dear friend, and going through other kinds of losses. I'm going to probably talk about this in a different video. The anatomy of grief is how I imagine, like, is how I interpret it. How, you don't, how loss is a part of daily life. It's a part of all of our experiences. There's all kinds of different losses, right? So because I've been in that headspace of grieving the loss of my friend, one of the people I would have like talked to about a lot of the stuff, the other stuff I'm going through, it's the part of journaling where I unload I find it very beneficial, but it's not a daily activity for me. Journaling is not the activity. Journaling is not the hobby. Journaling is not the practice. Journaling is a tool I use to empty my brain of unpleasant things, unpleasant thoughts, all that kind of stuff, right? Pain, whatever. So, tying it to tarot, because I mentioned how I tried to do a whole month with that deck. And anyways, I have to tell you, halfway through that month, I'd forget to draw my card for the day. I'd have to draw a card. I got to the point where it was ridiculous because I was like this student who wasn't keeping up with their assignments. And I was like, cramming? Like, what the fuck? I was cramming my daily draws. Okay. I was, I would look back and go, holy cow, 3 days went by and I hadn't pulled cards. So I pulled one for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'm writing in my book, whatever the heck I'd read the guidebook and then I'd write in my book what the meaning of the card was. Again, remember, I was also trying to learn. I wanted to really get a good grip of the mythology, the Finnish mythology of the deck, right? So, guys, it was bad. It was bad. Didn't work for me. I did it for 30 days, but I did it badly, like really, really badly. I don't think, so what I'm trying to say is I don't think it was very beneficial. And no, I don't, it's not that I don't think. I know it wasn't beneficial. I didn't gain anything of value from it. So that doesn't work for me at all. So the daily draw or giving myself a reading and then journaling about it, it doesn't work for me at all. It's like I cannot, what am I, I don't know what to journal about a reading. However, I will tell you what does work for me and has always worked for me. So let's start with tarot. I use tarot to help me understand myself. And not so much, I can't say it's in a psychological sense because I'm having a conversation with myself, but I'm also engaging my spirits or the spirit that I consult when I'm doing this kind of work. So I'm going to try to share with you what it looks like for me, because maybe you're doing it and you didn't even realize it. Maybe you're feeling like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get into this tarot journaling? And I'm going to explain to you the only time it works for me, and it's not daily. So there are my significator in tarot is the Eight of Swords. All right there, it tells you everything you need to know about me, like prima facie. My significator is the Eight of Swords. So when I pick up a deck for the first time, when I adopt a new deck, I bring another deck into my collection or, in my toolbox. I always ask the new deck, who am I? And the good one's always, the first card is the Eight of Swords. Okay, I just wanted to check if my old deck was going to give me the Eight of Swords. It didn't. Six of Wands. But so I'm one of those people who I struggle with becoming trapped in my own mind. And I become trapped in my own mind when I'm stuck, or rather, that also is a card that describes someone who is stuck, right? Mentally stuck. It's double stability. So that's when I use tarot to help me get unstuck. So an example of that would be, suppose I need to, suppose I'm stagnating. Well, I'll give an example. I'm stagnating in some aspect of my life. And I don't know and I keep getting the same result that I don't want. I don't know. I don't have a real life experience example to give you, but let's say, let's go with the stuck thing, right? So suppose okay, this is kind of real life, but not really, because I'm going to make a very exaggerated example. Suppose I'm stuck in the house. I'm not wanting to go out. I don't feel able to initiate going outside my house. And I don't understand why I'm able to plan to go out every day, and then when the time comes, I don't do it. Or another example would be where I get stuck with problem solving, and I'm doing all the things that I need to do to solve a problem, but the problem is tenacious. It doesn't budge. That's something I take to the tarot. So let's say I do. Let's see what the cards do here, because I always find it fun when I make shit up. And oh, don't you love that sound? I love that sound. Old school cardstock. Of course, I have to mention it. Although most of my deck collection now are cards I can shuffle like that, but I still have some that I can't. So what would I take to the tarot? So I would take my journal, the spiral bound one, the one that I could rip out the pages when I'm done. I don't want to, because here's the thing. I rarely ever read the journaling. The journaling is to vent. The journaling is to empty my brain, like, of the noise, right? So I would start by doing that first. And then I would say, okay, I've just journaled expressed all my frustration at hitting my head against this wall. I'm not able to solve this problem. I'm not able to move forward. Whether it is I'm not able to go outside, or whatever it is. I'm trying to give an example where one feels boxed in. So the first question I would ask tarot is, why am I stuck? So let's see what the cards say, and then we'll just, why am I stuck? Well, let's go with this card, because this any card would have worked anyway for this one. So here uh, we have the King of Cups. Why am I stuck? Well, obviously it's an emotional stuckness because of the cups. And then I would I don't need to know the answer. I would just write down, why am I stuck? King of Cups. That's all I write down on the page in my journal after I just unloaded all my frustration. And then I would take the time to explore, what is it in me that is King of Cups? So, okay, well, the King of Cups is outwardly very emotional, not inwardly, not like, emotional. Well, no, emotional is not, demonstrative, right? But also my experiential meaning of the King of Cups is someone who has very deep feelings, someone who is stuck in their deep feelings, just like the King of Swords is stuck in his head. The King of Cups is stuck in his heart, stuck in his emotions. It could be it could be something that can be expressed in more of an internal way, even though it's a king. I find the Queen of Cups is kind of like taking on a lot of other people's garbage, right? Is more receptive, right? It's like, the Queen of Cups can sometimes feel submerged in everyone else's emotions, whereas the King of Cups is someone who is actually doing the could be like having emotional outbursts, and you know what I mean, like explore all angles. There's also the positive side, you know what I mean, like there's the King of Cups that is very nurturing and very supportive and emotionally intelligent and stuff like that. So you know what I mean, like I'm not, when I do this exercise, I'm not looking for an immediate answer. I'm looking for, what do I need to ponder? Why am I stuck? And sometimes, people, it's a person. It really is. Because I'm an old school card reader, I'm an old school tarot reader. Sometimes it's qualities, and sometimes it's a real life person. Who is this in my life? Why am I like this? Could this person be the answer? So, and that I just leave to percolate. I just leave it to percolate, right? It's not something, I don't put pressure on myself to figure it out on the spot. I might not even write about it because I have nothing to say. I need to percolate on it. I need to wait for the answers to come from me. Like, anyway. So why am I like this? I am feeling so blank. In this moment, this is what I'm feeling. What can I do right now to take a step out of this feeling? What can I do right now to take a step forward? So I take that to the tarot cards, because this is an action. This is why. Why is a broader, it's a bigger question, right? That's overarching. Now it's like, I can't stand myself right now. What can I do? What can I do? What's one step I can take to move forward? I feel like I've done this already before in a video, but here we are. The High Priestess. Well, so I write down the High Priestess. When I get the High Priestess when I ask a question, the High Priestess for me is always a call to consult your spirits. Consult your spirits. Ask your spirits for help. Reach out to the spirit world. Basically, that's, I can't make it more plain than that. Consult your spirits. Obviously, it's a spiritual matter. And then I look back and I go, interesting. Very interesting. Spiritual matter. Okay, so now that kind of informs me a little bit about the King of Cups. But it's just a spark, right? Again, I'm not going to write pages and pages on this. Basically, all I've written so far is, why am I like this, King of Cups? What's one thing I can do to take one step forward? So then, depending on the problem I'm trying to solve, suppose I'm trying to solve something mundane. Okay, let's look, because this, I left a little open-ended here, so I went straight to like deep spiritual meaning stuff, which I'm not gonna lie, I am going through a lot of deep spiritual things right now. So I'm going through a lot of changes, and so yeah, that makes sense. But so let me see if I ask something a little more mundane. So I'm going to ask a question in my head. I'm going to say it out loud because you can't hear me think. Well, maybe you can. But so I would like to improve my physical health, because there's always room for improvement there, right? What is something I could do right now? Or maybe I can ask, what is something I need to change? Ooh, I like that one. Let's do that. What is something I need to change? Because I would like to improve my physical health. Now, I look at this and I know this card very intimately when it comes to making changes in physical health. This always comes up for me when I'm trying to do too many things at once, to problem solve. Not in life, not stress, not overwork. No. This is where I'm overwhelmed because there's too many variables when I'm working on a project, too many variables to solve a problem. This is a card that tells me right away that, okay, you are approaching everything at once. It's a mingus. This is a call to me that my focus is like all over the place. It's not good. And I cannot see the trees for the freaking forest in my face. So I would write this down in my journal. Okay, so I'm focusing on too many things at once, or I am like when you're trying to make a health, let's give the example of like everybody in January wants to lose weight, they want to start working out, and we're doing these New Year's resolutions. Usually, customarily, culturally, what do? We want to do them all January 1st. We're going to quit smoking, quit drinking, go to the gym, and go on a diet all at once. This is that kind of card that says, no, well, no, you got too many variables. You got too many things. Pick one. And I would put that in my journal. And then and let's say, am I done? Wait, what else could I ask? So why am I feeling this way? What can I do to move forward? And what's keeping me stuck, basically, or whatever it was that I asked, but it's basically what's keeping me stuck, right? This is enough because I emptied my brain into the journal. This is enough to get me started on dismantling the stuckness, is figuring out why I'm stuck, figuring out what's the first step I can take to get unstuck, and how am I doing this to myself, which is basically the third card, is how am I doing this to myself? Like, what am I doing that I'm perpetuating my stuckness, right? This I could do for journaling, but that's pretty much it. And what I want to tell you is that that's okay too. Like, if you're one of those people, your fantasy self your fantasy self says you should be making yourself a nice cup of tea or coffee and have a nice long journaling session with the deck of your choice, and you're not that person, don't force it. Oh my God, don't force it. Do what works for you. And if journaling doesn't work for you, don't do it. That's how I see it. For me, this type of journaling works. It's problem solving. It's almost like mathematical. This is the problem. I'm going to use my cards. I'm going to use my tarot to help me problem solve bit by bit how to move forward to get myself out of this stuckness. What is blocking me? What keeps me stuck? All right. So the other thing, because I've been spending time with one of the many gifts of not shopping for decks for entertainment is that I know I'm transitioning into something else now. During the madness, that was just insanity. That doesn't even count. But then, even last year, I would find myself, because this is hard. So if you're out there and you're thinking that, you've been watching me for a few years now and you think that I have it all figured out, that's bullshit, man. I don't have it all figured out. When I'm having a bad day, I'm on the freaking internet and I'm looking for a deck to buy. It's like, I don't do it because I promised myself I wouldn't do it that way anymore. And I'm sticking to it, and it's hard because when I was sad, like everyone else, like when I'm feeling sad, I'm looking for something to make me feel better, and I love cards. So, duh. But it's not like I have it all figured out, and it's a work in progress. What was my famous saying? Many trips to the river, man. Many trips to the river. But one of the many, many gifts, because I got to tell you, the stopping the impulse purchasing, stopping deck shopping instead of focusing on my love of the cards, of reading and problem solving and all that stuff. My favorite thing to do with tarot, seriously, is to figure life out. It's a compass for me. Figure life out. Figure out solutions to problems. The mundane, the arcane, the sacred, the profane, it's all in there. That's what I do with, that is the crux of what I do with tarot cards. That's that's the that's the spiritual tool it is for me. It is spirit communication. It is my spirit communication tool. So, but going back to what I was about to say is one of the many gifts of stopping constantly bringing them in, like I had been doing years ago, was to fully appreciate what I have, because I stopped bringing in new decks that like to try them out. And that was the problem, right? I was shopping for sport. And I was, oh, let me try this out. Let me try this out. Oh, maybe I am this kind of person. Maybe I am this kind of deck person. And that was just a waste of time, resources. And then the time and the resources to, because they're not easy to move along, right? I'm sure those of you who have tried to move decks along, they're not very easy to move along, are they? I don't know, but I know about you, but for me, it's just too much trouble. Unless you're into the wheeling and dealing and the wheeling and dealing and the selling and all this stuff. Anyway, that obviously that's not where I live. But one of the many gifts is I understand myself better because I had that experience. So that experience wasn't really lost. You know what I mean? Like, I understand myself better. I understand what my likes are. And I really love the curated collection that I currently have because it reflects my spiritual practice, which was the whole point to begin with. I couldn't go back to just having one tarot deck because I don't just have one. I have quite a variety, but they're all within this, and because it's so focused on my practice, on my spirituality, there isn't 100 decks out there for me. There's probably about 15 tarot decks that focus on my spiritual practice, that are facets of my spiritual practice. So that was one of the many gifts. Another one is because my New Year's resolution, whatever you want to call it, was to not try them out for fun, try out decks for fun or whatever. And it's been tempting. It's been very tempting, but I have not. Is that I am spending my time with the same core group of decks that I'm getting a lot of satisfaction and a lot of benefit from it. First of all, there's the dialogue that occurs between me and my decks, and how they read clearer when you have less. Here's the thing: when I had tons of decks, I started to lose my ability to read them, to read tarot. I began to even lose my ability, my psychic ability, because I was so bogged down in these endeavors that were so far removed from that spiritual practice, right? So that's something I wanted to share, because if you're in it, I just want to, I don't know, right? If you're still in it and you need support, you have my support. Know that it's not an overnight thing. You can't just box them up and get rid of them, because that's not easy. Also, probably not wise either. You have to work through it. And identify. I know I just went on to identify the decks that are meaningful to you, and maybe put the rest of them away for a while. And because I did notice that focusing on that core group for me really has strengthened, has helped me, has really strengthened my connection to spirit, has brought my ability to read back to where it was, where I know exactly what card, like when I'm reading for other people, I know it's almost like the deck does the reading for me. I'm back to that, and that is, I'm just happy to be, I'm just happy to be back. And I know this is probably only relevant to other people who are, who read tarot like I do. Um, but I imagine that what I'm talking about here in my video, there's a little bit of something for everybody. So I wanted to also talk a little bit about oracle cards. It's funny, it comes up a lot in my conversations with other people, where it seems that everybody's buying oracle cards, which there's so many available. But the people I speak with, like the people I have conversations with, online and various, even locally, everyone says the same thing. I'm not gonna say no one seems to, no, everyone says the same thing to me. They don't quite know what they're doing with oracle cards. They don't quite know what they're for. Now, that in and of itself means you don't need them. I know, isn't that like, that's pretty drastic, right? That's pretty radical what I just said. If you don't know what they're for, if you don't know what purpose they serve in your card reading practice, your spiritual practice, then you don't need them. See, I have them. Mind you, I have a fraction of what I had up until a few years ago. But the ones that I have, I use regularly, and they have specific, like I use them for very specific purposes. So I thought maybe I'd share this with you. I think I have in the past shared it, but let's revisit this. And this is, I hate when I have to start with a disclaimer. Naturally, if you're watching me, this is how I experience the world, and these are my thoughts, and this is what I think. I'm not here to tell you what you do is wrong. I'm not here to say that what other people say is wrong. I'm just telling you what doesn't work for me, and then after I tell you what doesn't work for me, then I tell you what does. I have never used oracle cards to clarify a tarot reading. I cannot even conceptualize how oracle cards that are not a system, that are not esoteric, could even presume to clarify the tarot. So that's where I come from. That's my point of view. However, when I have a good oracle deck, and I have the ones I kept are really good. They are either animal oracle decks that are very specific to my region and the animal spirits that I am knowledgeable of, or know, or have experience. Whether the wildlife that's on my street, you know what I mean? Like those kind of oracle decks for me are how I communicate with those spirits, or why, like if it happens for me regularly where I live. Bear walks down my street, and bear decides to take a snooze on my cedar hedge. Okay, well, why is the bear here? So then I'll use my Animal Wise book, my Nature Speak book, whichever book I have, animal medicine cards book, and I'll look it up, and I'll try to figure out, okay, what's bear spirit, I don't have to really do that anymore because I'm very familiar with bear spirit, but that's my example, and that's what I do with those kind of oracle cards. But I'll also draw a card every week, and it's on my shrine to my land spirits with other oracle decks that are representative of my land spirits, just to see who shows up, because by who shows up, I can tell pretty much what the message is, or what the environment is trying to tell me something. My spirits are supporting me in some way, and I can tell by who shows up through the draw of these oracle cards. Something like this one. This is Vintage Wisdom. This is I really enjoy this a lot because the keywords are so well thought out. It's so well balanced that this works the best for me. But I wouldn't use this to clarify. I think that's the language that's used to clarify my tarot reading. Like, to me, that's backwards. But what I would do though is I drew a card from this deck. It's up there. It's for last week, and it was protection and I left it where I could see it all week, because that's the overarching theme of my week was protection. And it wasn't like a defensive kind of protection. It was, I got to see that energy unfold over the course of the week. Different facets of the word protection and what it means and how it's applicable in my life. And that oracle card then prompts me to, okay, draw a card, a tarot card, which I always have a tarot card of the week on my shrine, and it's always a Thoth card because it's been on my shrine for 5 years now. It celebrated its 5th anniversary with me doing that every week. And so the oracle card is protection, and it was the Knight of Discs was my card. So you see how they inform each other. But see, protection is just a concept, right? It's the Knight of Discs that informed what facet of protection it was the overarching theme of my week. So that's that. I don't know if this helps, but I feel like oracle cards are more a postcard from spirit. Hey, how's it going? Thinking of you. Have a nice day. And the rest is, well, wonder what that meant. What did he mean by that? What do you mean, have a nice day? What do you mean, hey, I'm here? Why? Why are you here? And that's when I turned to tarot. Why is that spirit here? Why is that energy here? What is it saying? What do I need to pay attention to? And guys, I'm always one of those people that when I read for myself, I'm always looking for the warning. I'm even suspicious of the 10 of Cups. I'm suspicious of of the Sun card. I'm always looking for the other shoe to drop. But that's a personality trait. It's also a cultural thing because Italians we're a little negative. We could be a little not negative, no, a little pessimistic, no, cynical. I think that's what it is. It's that cynicism is there. So that's how I use, like, that's the role that oracle cards play in my life. And I think I've mentioned in other videos, or even my last one at that. I don't remember because I don't rewatch them, right? That oracle cards, I could even like pull. I have my saints flashcards, and I could pull one of those cards. It's not really an oracle deck. It's just a deck of flashcards of saints, and to see which saint card comes up, and same kind of thing. Okay, so this saint, this saint's energy is present, or this saint is present, or reaching out to me, because I view saints as ancestors, because they were once human. And so then I would ponder and say, okay, so why did this saint pop up? What's this about? What's going on this week that this, like, what is the saint the patron of? Do I already have a relationship with this saint? What kind of work have we done together? What kind of problems have they helped me solve? What kind of blessings have they sent me? You know what I mean? Have they, that kind of stuff. So whether it's oracle or saint cards, if you're a folk practitioner and you have saints in your spirit court, or you communicate with saints, or you pray to saints, whatever the case is. Again, it's that kind of thing. I can give you a real life example. A couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago, because I was rearranging my bookshelves, but then I rearranged how I store my decks, right, and stuff like that, where I have them tarot together and oracle and whatever, and the old friends and the current ones I'm working with. So I had pulled out my Angel Blessings cards, and by Ambika Wouters. It's an old deck. I had posted it on my Instagram. I've had it since like the early 90s. And I had pulled it out because I thought, oh, well, let me see, because I don't read with them anymore. Let me see how, is it weird? Like, is it going to feel like I don't resonate with it anymore? And the card that I got was Raphael. And no word of a lie, right after I pulled Raphael, I was immersed in a lot of nursing, taking care of family members with health-related activities. Some were medical appointments, actual nursing care of family members. It was pretty predictive, is what I'm trying to say. So you see that the presence of Raphael, that card told me that Raphael was present, and then there I was doing Raphael's work for a few weeks. So you have to ask yourself. So when I'm talking to friends, or even like acquaintances, and and they wonder why they have so many oracle decks, you have to ask yourself, why do you have so many oracle decks? If you don't have a use for them, if it's maybe you just need an affirmation deck, because why don't you get yourself a nice affirmation deck with puppies or something on it that gives you a nice message that's uplifting, and that's all you need. But if it's, then there's people who never even get into tarot, and the oracle deck is their means of divination, and that's cool too. What I'm trying to say is that I've learned that not everything is for me. And what is for me may not be the way it is for other people. And you might want to ask yourself that. If you don't know why you have, let's say, a dozen Oracle decks, because you never use them, you don't know what they're for, you don't know what what purpose they serve, like I said, maybe you don't need them. Or maybe me sharing with you how I utilize them and how they help me and what purpose they serve in my practice, maybe something in there, maybe the exact same thing works for you and you want to try it out, or maybe something I said might spark you to try something that works for you. So I think I've talked enough. At first I thought I didn't know if I had anything to say, but here we are. It's an hour later. Anyways, I really enjoyed catching up with all of you. I am going to be going back to my previous video. If I haven't answered your comment yet, know that I read it. I think I'm going to try to do better at answering. Sometimes it's really hard for me to keep up, but I'm going to do my best. Please, in the comments below, tell me, how are you doing? So here we are. It's February. Oh, you know what? I'd love to know if you made some New Year's resolutions, or if you made some plans that, of projects you wanted to do, whatever. Know that it's not too late, right? I also wanted to point out that it doesn't matter that I put the Artist's Way back on the shelf. Who knows? Maybe in April, maybe in July, I'll feel like doing it. Maybe never again. Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters for me right now is that I'm not shopping for entertainment, and I'm doing pretty good so far. So that's a plus. That's a plus. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me if you have Oracle cards and like how you use them. Or like, maybe, because that'll be helpful for other people in the comment section and they read your comment. Or if you decided that they're not for you, like, what are your thoughts on Oracle cards? I feel like they used to be less. Like when I started shopping at metaphysical shops in the early 90s, there was less. You know what I mean? There was like probably like that angel deck that I have. There was like Oracle decks were like very few. Like it was mostly tarot, and there weren't even the tarot, like the number of tarot decks are available today. But then like Oracle decks exploded primarily with Hay House and Doreen Virtue, and then now that those don't exist anymore, or like what, you know what I mean, right? She doesn't exist in this sphere anymore, in that sphere of Hay House. Oracle decks have really, really exploded, and this, I find they're not that good. It's like really hard to find a good one, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I said enough. I should have stopped while I was ahead. All right, so again, thank you so much for spending this time with me today, and wherever you are in the world, I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Bye-bye.